Welcome to Blocks and Talks, the podcast that brings you everything you need to know about LEGO. From covering past, present, and future LEGO sets to interviews with notable community members, our show covers it all. Alrighty, we're back with part 6 of LEGO Pirates at long last. After weeks of delays and such, we're finally back. Great to have you back, James. How you doing?
It's great to be back. It's been a busy month in general. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I feel it, yeah. Hope you're doing well too. And I think we're also starting to near the end because there's only a couple years left of this Pirates theme. So why don't we just dive right into it? So 1996, the year the Conquistadors arrive. So, just to kick things off, we got set number 1747, Treasure Surprise. 22 pieces, one minifigure. Retailed for $2. Will actually net you around $10 used today and $45 new.
This is one of those first minifigures we see in this year where they have new printing. It's kind of, we've gotten so used to the classic printing we've seen since '89, but this year LEGO started releasing some new prints for pirate figures to go out more with a bang here. And this is a fantastic print. I do love it because you just have a blue jacket, a oldish brown looking shirt with a black belt. The face print is really nice. He kind of makes me think of like a gunner below decks, and he just looks very, just great. I love this figure. And then the set itself is fantastic with gold coins, a mini hideaway, nothing we haven't seen before, but still great to get.
Yeah, just following the standard of every year. There's like a couple like baby packs, and that's one of them. And to pair with it is 6232 Skeleton Crew. 28 pieces, 2 minifigures, and kind of 1.5 if you count a skeleton or not. Retail for $3, set you around 11 cents price per piece. Resales around $14 used and almost $100 new, so big price jump.
It's a cute little set. It comes with a little cave, a barrel with some gold. This is another pirate torso I believe is new for this season, and this is our first time we're seeing the Conquistador helmet on a skeleton, and just some more of a fun video. An Instagrammer called The Brick Stop made a video talking about the Conquistador theory, and it's just because there's so many skeleton Conquistadors. It's a fun video. I do recommend it, but yeah, it's a great little set.
Yeah, a little ominous, probably suggests a failed attempt to loot, so take that for what you will. And next up, finally got a set of Substance 6244 Armada Sentry, the first like true Conquistador set. 71 pieces, 1 minifigure, retailed for $8.75, which would put you around 12 cents price per piece. Resale is around $50 used and $166 new.
And believe it or not, this is the only Conquistador base we have ever gotten. The blue coats had Eldorado Fortress, the red coats had Imperial Trading Post, and each faction had their own smaller bases, but we never got to see a big base for the Armada. This is all we got, and it's cute, but it just looks like it's so much here that could have been, you know what I mean? It gives you so much hope for a theme that doesn't really exist, and it's fantastic though. I do love it.
Yeah, very simple. It's like on the blue flat base plate to suggest water, the red rowboat, really tiny dock. I think it's on like a 4x6 plate or something. You got a really tiny structure. Looks like a 8x5, can't tell, plate with like a little structure, green doors, a little winch, and a single Conquistador with his musket. Very simple.
This two really exclusive parts of the set is those green doors. They only ever came in this set, which actually makes this rather expensive in the used market.
Well, would you look at that? Looks like maybe the Spanish conquistadors do really have something worth its weight. Or what do we call it? Quality over quantity. They don't have a base, but instead they have nice fancy green doors.
At least they have good paint taste, I guess.
And then this was a rather short year. Like, unlike the arrival of the other factions, Conquistadors had a pretty slow introduction. Oh, never mind. I take that back. There was an advertisement in between the list of sets, so I thought Volcano Island was the last one, and I got really confused. So, 6248 is Volcano Island, 119 pieces, $12 retail, to put you around 10 cents price per piece. Resells around 50 used and 120 new.
This set's really cool because it's the only volcano we got in Lego Pirates, which is funny because if you remember looking at the backgrounds of most of these boxes and instructions, there was always a volcano in the back. So the fact that this is the only one we ever got as a set is a little funny, but I do like it. The skull swings to the right. It's a brick-built skull. And on the inside, there's a treasure chest with some coins. We see the same pirate we saw in that first set we took a look at in this episode. He has a little raft with some barrels to float. And there's a little action feature that if you pull a pin in the back of it, these 4 trans red 1x1 studs and a Conquistador skeleton explode out the top.
Wow. So for a tiny set, it actually packs quite a punch. Like you said, the skeleton's brick built. I think it's similar to the one the year before on the pirate base. And that's actually pretty cool. I think the volcano is very simple. It's indicated by 3 of those like translucent red flame elements, the retro ones. And yeah, it almost looks like a side of a mountain with a skull on it that just happens to shoot out flames and stuff. But really cool that like you pull the pin and the stuff launches. I think that's a pretty advanced feature for its time. Like nowadays, it's a little more commonplace to see things like that, like things exploding or popping out, like we saw in the Mustafar, Duel on Mustafar set a couple years ago. So I guess this is like the grandfather of that feature.
Correct. And I actually think this might be one of the first times they did a spring function like that. The most famous one is actually in the Wild West theme. There was a sheriff's office set, and it had one of those springs, and it could break the jail cell. But this, I believe, was the first time they used it, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh wow, okay. So yeah, we'll coin it the term, the godfather or grandfather of the spring function. If you know otherwise, just let us know. And then we come to the big hitters. The Spanish's like mega ship. Theirs is the Armada flagship, set number 6280, 284 pieces. Only 3 minifigures though, surprisingly. Retails for $50, which would put you around 17-cent price per piece. Pretty heavy resale value too. 200 used and around 770 new.
I actually have a funny, more personal story with this set because I was searching around my house for Christmas gifts, as any other kid would. And my dad actually had this set buried. I don't know why. He just didn't have it displayed at that current moment. So I found it, pulled it out, and I built it. And I asked my dad when he got home from work, I was like, when did you get this? This is so cool. And he actually ended up just giving it to me because he didn't like it that much. So yeah, this is a very interesting set. It's beautiful with the White Hall. The White Hall was actually exclusive to this set until more recently we got the updated Hall piece in white with a Friends like boat, I believe. The color scheme is a little everywhere. It's some people like it, some people don't. You have blue and white accents with green, yellow, red. It's a lot going on, but I do really enjoy it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just take a look at it. Like the first thing I'm reminded of, it kind of looks like a icicle pop with the colors. You got like sprinkles of red, a white, a predominant color, some stripes of blue, and the flag pieces look pretty good too. Like it looks like the Spanish Armada's iconic, or their like logo is a big anchor, and on top of the anchor is like, I'm guessing, the crown of the king or queen. The front mast also has like, I can't tell from this angle, it looks like it has its own logo too. Definitely not going to be cheap. Only one cannon though. That's a little upsetting for flagship. And funny
I would
enough,
agree.
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. Definitely lacking the firepower there. Minifigures too is a little underwhelming. Only 3, but they look pretty solid. Like they got their own unique torsos. They got the Conquistador helmets. So at least like that part is unique. Looks like there's not a lot of like outside functions, like not really any cabins or rooms or anything. Very simple. And even like the front piece, it kind of reminds me of a rubber ducky with the way like the yellow with the red like beak looking thing protrudes out. Quaint little set.
It does. Yeah, I always kind of saw it more as a frog with a tongue. It's a very interesting figurehead. I will say about the cannon is it's actually the only cannon that would come on a green cannon base. So that piece is exclusive in green in this set.
I was about to say,
which makes it a little bit hard to add firepower. Other notable pieces in the set, of course, is the sails, as all ships are, and Once again, we got a working compass. We have the Conquistador's chrome breastplate is only in, I think, 2 or 3 sets, so it's pretty expensive to get. And there's one action feature with this too, where the back mast there can actually fall down if you pull a pin to simulate battle damage. It was a controversial update to ships because it took away some decoration, some feature, because you had to have room for that trapdoor to make the mast look like it fell down. So a hit or miss, but it has a crane. And I did want to mention too, this is the only ship, I believe, along with the next one we're going to take a look at, that has, you can actually roll up the sails. Like you pull those strings, the sails can actually roll up compared to all the other previous ships.
Looks like the technology is starting to advance for the pirate ships. And something about the cannons, that one cannon, I don't know, that like shade of green, I think the best way to describe it is like a not even a foresty green, it's like a pine green. Almost reminds me of, I think, the Hessians, I think the German Hessians or whatever they were called, from like the Revolutionary War and their uniforms. Something reminiscent of that. And
definitely.
That leads us to the rival. Oh, sorry. Yes. Were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say it's a fantastic color for that piece.
Yeah, the shame is only one. Like, I feel like you can make some forest mocks with it, like a forest fortress or something like that, with like that green.
Mm-hmm.
And next up, we got the rival ship for it. Redbeard's own flagship, 6289, Redbeard Runner. 703 pieces, 7 minifigures, retailed for $100, which would set you around 14-cent price per piece. Surprising, the resale is not as much as the other one. It's around 287 used and 600 new, even though it comes with like more.
I think this is the black sheep of the big pirate ships. It's often forgot about. It gets a lot of hate, and I do agree with most of the hate it gets, and it's just because it only has 3 sails and all the sails are at the top. You don't have those lower sails to kind of flush out this ship, and it makes it feel more empty. And the only reason they did that was just to give you that battle damage action feature once again on that first mast, that because it actually falls down and you had a sail there, it could wrinkle or get damaged. So it definitely detracts in that category. But the rest of the ship is pretty nice. It has, as you can kind of tell in this image, at least on Brickset, it has an exploding back to once again simulate the battle damage. But it's nothing too different than what we've seen before. You got a crane, monkey, pirate crew, a plank, 2 cannons per side. Pretty average, I would say.
Yeah, very standard. Like those features at this point, I think basically every ship has had what you mentioned. And now that I look at it, yeah, it looks really empty. Like when you look at the sails on the top, even they have battle damage. So if that's not something you're into, having those like holes punched through it is a little jarring. And then, yeah, it looks really empty on the bottom half. Like you have these huge poles to hold the sails, and then there's just nothing on the bottom. So you just got these like naked looking poles. So definitely a little weird. And the way like some of the pins are sticking out to activate like the battle damage, I think it's a little off-putting too, to see an exposed pin just randomly sticking out like that. Like if you look at near the entrance of the cabin, you got like the yellow piece with the Technic gray axle, the black axle with the gray pin. Like that's really, it's just a little off-putting. Like I can see where Lego's going, like they're trying to prioritize play, but I feel like they went a little too far with it on this side and just compromises the look a bit.
I do agree, and I did want to mention some notable pieces once again. I believe the hull pieces in this set are exclusive. I might be wrong about that, but I believe it's a certain color. It's like a lightish brown, more reddish tone. It's not typical brown like we used to see. And another thing I do want to mention is on the side of each of the cabin, there is that standard window we've gotten tons of times. The lattice 2x2x2, 3 studs. Window, but it's exclusive in yellow in this set. So the piece isn't too expensive, but it's definitely a little bit rarer to find.
Yeah, so definitely a set that tried pushing it, but ultimately fell just a bit short. By no means a bad set. I think it's still a pirate ship. It's just, if you like try to really look at it more carefully, there's a couple things that just kind of poke out. And then the last set for this year is 6296 Shipwreck Island. Came with 216 pieces, or minifigures, retail for $30, set you around 14 cents price per piece. Resells around 105 used and 335 new. And I think initial looks, this is basically the predecessor to Barracuda Bay, the modern Barracuda Bay.
It is. It's one of the first, if not the first, shipwreck we've gotten, and it was pretty good attempt back, especially during the time period. You can see where everything's at. You can see the back there kind of has a suggestion of a cabin. You can see the hull wood support frames kind of leaning around. You can kind of imagine it bending inward under the water. You got the mast of the sail. I will mention that sail is actually not exclusive to this set. We'll see it next year as well. And yeah, skeleton, a crocodile / alligator. I never know which one that technically is supposed to be. And you get Conquistador and another pirate figure. I did want to also mention real quick, because I almost forgot on the last one. This is another exclusive cannon base. We never got the cannon base in blue before this, and we never got it again. So it's a pretty collectible piece again.
Wow, I would have thought that one would have fit with the French, but I guess not. But yeah, pretty simple set. It's like just a blue base plate to simulate water. You got like the ship half sticking out, so you got the tattered mast with the Jolly Roger shredded up. Just little pieces poking here and there. And like you said, it generally has a decent shape. It's pretty much there. And the only thing that I find a little scuffed about it is like the little raft the Conquistador is using. It looks pretty bad. It just like looks like 10 pieces and doesn't really resemble a shape or anything. Like doesn't even look like logs assembled. Just looks like random bricks put together sort of thing.
With that, well, I know it's like a clip connection with a black clip connection with a white plate on top of it, leaning back like that. It almost looks more like a lawn chair than a raft, which I just find funny.
Yeah. And moving on to the next year, 97, this is pretty much like the last year the original LEGO Pirates, as we've known it up till this point, really is, which is kind of surprising because given its legacy, like we said in earlier episodes about how it was kind of a trailblazer for like unique parts, molds, even like minifigure prints, and like even its resale values as a testament to how popular it is today. Like for it to end so abruptly is a bit of a shocker when you compare it to other like pillars of the LEGO theme, such as city, town, well, almost the same thing, space, things like that. So without further ado, let's check out the last of the originals. First up is 6204 Buccaneers. 36 pieces, 5 minifigures, retail for $6. Set you around 17 cents price per piece. Resale is around $90 used, $193 new. And I think the best way to put it is that it is a battle pack.
Yeah, it's the third Pirates battle pack we've gotten, and glad LEGO stayed consistent with this. You know, we got the blue coats back in '89. We got the red coats as well, and now we got the Spanish Conquistador battle pack. This one's a little bit more lackluster, I would say, than the other two, just because instead of giving you 5 solid minifigures, here it only gives you 4 plus a skeleton. It just seems like they cheaped out me a little bit, but the skeleton's still nice. It's one of those classic floppy arms. You can't go wrong with it. And this is actually the cheapest way to get that chrome breastplate I was talking about, which goes for a decent amount in the aftermarket.
Yeah, I mean, the prints are not bad. Like, you got a Conquistador in a red uniform. Looks like he's like the frilled shirt. Little red and white striped frills. And then like the undershirt. I'm not really sure what the name of the fashion was back then. They got the Conquistador helmets. They got some nice plumes. Like you said, the chrome breastplate. Really nice addition. The Pirates, I think the blue one is like the standard one we were talking about before. And then you got Redbeard in all his glory. I mean, it's pretty solid. I just think there's not much army building potential because if you were to amass like 5 of these, you're going to have 5 Redbeards, which is probably not ideal.
You not only have 5 Redbeards, but you have 5 of the Spanish Admiral and 5 of the Spanish Captains. You didn't actually get just a plain Spanish soldier in this set, which I thought was kind of funny. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of weird. You didn't get just a basic soldier, and I think they really should have gave you that instead of the skeleton.
Yeah. Definitely not a lot of army building potential. Seems like LEGO's creativity is fizzling out at this point for Pirates. But without further ado, let's keep going. 6249 Pirates Ambush, 156 pieces, 3 minifigures. retailed for $22, which would set you around 14 cents price per piece. Resale is actually pretty surprising for this, 196 used and 333 new.
It's a strangely expensive set, and I think that kind of goes for this whole year for Lego Pirates. It's it's at the end, a lot of people weren't buying it anymore, and I think that's why these prices were so inflated nowadays, is just because not a lot of people owned them. But it's an alright set. Nothing great. I think it's one of the weakest pirate bases we've seen. You got the net bridge, which is a neat suggestion, but that piece doesn't really allow for minifigures to stand and walk on it properly. A cannon is nice, nothing new. Me personally, I didn't quite like these log elements that we're using in the Western theme. It just kind of felt out of place for pirates. So this whole set as a whole just wasn't as great to me, but the figures and the accessories were nice. You got a red rowboat, once again, a typical Spanish soldier, 2 pirates, crocodile, and just some cool pirate accessories. It's a good accessory pack almost. It's better than that than a base.
Yeah, I'm actually going to run contrary to that. I thought this was pretty unique. I thought it had its own flair, like to use like the wooden, like the kind of like rounded wooden texture was pretty nice. It kind of suggests that maybe they're on a different island with unique trees. So that's like the resource they use. The wooden spears used as like a defense / like detail, I thought was a nice little flair. The mesh bridge, like you said, it uses the old Lego net element to like kind of form like a really rugged looking bridge. There's just something very like out of place and very handmade feel to it. And I think that's kind of what stood out to me. But at the same time, it feels really bare bones at the same time. It's like, feels a little uninspired. Like they just put a bunch of bricks together and see what they can do.
I did want to point out the best part about this set last, and that is that net bridge. As bad of a net bridge as I personally think it is, it does have a really cool feature. You can pull out a pin and then that net bridge falls and it actually creates a blockade where the Spanish soldier can no longer row his boat, and it almost traps him, which is the name Pirate's Ambush. So it does have a good feature. And yeah, I mean, I do agree with you. I didn't think about it like that. Like it could have just been on a different island. And I do like the look of it. I would admit it's a more rustic look.
Yeah, and I think what made me think that was because their Jolly Roger looks a little different with like the red outline, and the pirate uniforms are just a little different. We got one with a tricorn somehow too.
And this is more of just a traditional pirate fact. I thought was really interesting about this year with Lego Pirates is that the red Jolly Roger was actually a symbol for pirates to use when they were going to show no mercy, when they were going to attack a ship. So, they weren't going to show mercy. I don't want to get too violent or gruesome. So I thought that was a pretty dark detail, actually, that they have that red outline here.
Yeah, definitely probably an outlier experimental set, maybe. And like you said before, the mesh thing is pretty cool because this set is basically like 2 little watchtowers that are connected by the bridge, and to trap someone in between it, I think that's actually kind of sick. So I'll give it a bonus point there. And next up, I think we might have the worst pirate ship ever. I think it's in the conversation. 6250 Crossbone Clipper. 154 pieces, 3 minifigures. Retail for $33, set you around 21 cents. Resale is around 353 used and 750 new.
And you're not alone with saying it's the worst pirate ship ever. There's a lot of people in the Lego Pirates community that actually kind of joke about this ship a lot. It's kind of become somewhat of a meme in the Pirates community because there's a lot of completionists out there. No offense to those completionists, but they have to buy this ship, which is just kind of funny. Like they're trying to collect all the pirate ships and they have to buy this one. But there is some good traits to it. I mean, the black and green hull was unique at the time, and especially when you consider this was before Pirates of the Caribbean. So the black hull wasn't really as popular as it is now. So it was a different take on a pirate ship. It had a skeleton head in the front. It had a sail, a bowsprit. It had the bare essentials. You had a cannon, steering wheel, which, to give you an idea, the Renegade Runner, which I believe is one of the best smaller pirate ships, didn't even have a steering wheel. So it has a steering wheel. It had good features.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it just looks a little strange. It looks like one of the tinier boats. I don't know if there's a classification. It's not like the full size like ship hull, so that also reflects in the price. It just looks a little bare bones. Like you got the black hull base, one layer of green bricks and one layer of black tiles, and that's it. There isn't really any elevation or like levels to it. It feels very flat. And like you noted before in the previous set, the red Jolly Roger and all that. So although it doesn't look the biggest, this thing is looking to pack a punch and draw some blood.
I will say this ship would be really improved and actually would probably look really, really nice if you just had one more sail just in the back, just something we call a spanker sail. It's a four-sided sail that would attach to that mast, and I think that would just flush it out a lot more. If you could add that, I think it would be a rather decent looking Lego pirate ship. Not great, not realistic, but decent.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess we'll leave it to the viewer to decide if this thing really is worth 350 used, especially when you compare it to the other pirate sets around similar resale value. And here we are, the last set of old vintage Lego Pirates as we know it. 6281 Pirates Perilous Pitfall. That's a tongue twister. Pirates Perilous Pitfall. Pirates Perilous Pitfall. Pirates Perilous Pitfall. 395 pieces, 6 minifigures, $73 retail. Put you around 19 cents price per piece. Resale is actually quite whopping. 528 used and 1,400 new.
And I do not know this as a confirmation, but I've heard rumors saying this actually wasn't available in Europe or the rest of the world. It's only available in North America. So that price could be because of that. Once again, that's also just, the fact that this is the last Pirates wave. A lot of people weren't buying it anymore. So that caused some prices to increase over time. But this set, just like Imperial Trading Post I mentioned previously, this set's just rare. It's not only expensive, it's rare to find in complete good condition. It almost is never available. On Bricklink, there's only like 2 sellers selling it. I know Atlanta Brick Company has one available, but eBay, you might find 1 or 2. It's a very rare set to get, but it has really nice features. You have the raising drawbridge almost thing, which is cool with using the classic rope bridge piece. Another one of those ripped up sails, same one we already seen before. You got a little shack on the left-hand side. It uses one of those 3D printed 32 by 32 base plates along with a 16 by 32 base plate on the side. And you got a small mountain suggestion with a boulder, which is straight taken from Indiana Jones. And it actually works as a trap because that bridge that the Spanish Conquistador is walking across during this image can fold down. And when that gets pulled down, the boulder falls on top of that individual. So it's a really fun feature. It's pretty cool. I like how you get the shipwreck on the side, and we're seeing the classic castle Royal Knight's crown as the artifact that the pirates and Spanish are trying to compete over. It's a great set, in all honesty. It's just rare and it's expensive, but if you can add it, it's a fantastic set.
Yeah, it actually looks kind of solid. Like you said, it has like the 3D printed base plate, so you have all those cool textures. Even is printed on the bottom, so you got like grass, sand, and water. And on the right, you got like the remains of a shipwreck, very reminiscent of like the shipwreck set from before. And the drawbridge is a nice connection to like build the 2 parts together. The back of the island just has like nice little bits of foliage, things lying around for depth. And the little mountain actually looks pretty solid. Like the bottom has like this like gate that is made of those wooden spears that opens and closes. Then the second level, like you said, has like the crown just sitting there. And I think the top of the mountain with the boulder, it's not even circular shaped. It's like a 2D. It's 2D. Like if you just look at it face on, it looks circular, like a big boulder. But if you look at it from the side, it's just flat, which is kind of funny. But I think the features on this was very ahead of its time. Like you said, Indiana Jones-esque. Really solid set, actually. I think it really is a nice way to kind of wrap up the original Pirates theme.
It gave us one more island. It gave us one more pirate hideout. And it kind of gave us a chase item. Previously it was always just, get the treasure chest with the gold coins. But here we had the Royal Knight's crown. So it kind of gave a chase item, what each party is trying to sail for. And it gave you a little bit of a story, which I do appreciate.
Yeah. And that pretty much wraps up the entirety of like the original Pirates theme. we will get sets in 2001 and 2002, but those are just re-releases of some of the old sets. So nothing new there. And it wouldn't be until 2009 when a new Pirates reboot would come. And in the next episode, James and I will cover pretty much what wraps up what is left of the Pirates, which is 2009, 2010, 2015, and a very few scattered sets here and there. And yeah, I think this, looking back at all of our episodes together and the entire theme retrospectively, it had a really strong start, and it seemed to hit a really high point once like the Redcoats and the French showed up with their factions. Tons of like new ideas and possibilities, but it looks like it started fizzling out. Like I think Islanders had a potential, but it kind of fell flat. And then with the Spanish Armada too, it felt a little underwhelming. So it was a bit of a shame to see that this thing hit a really high point, kind of cemented itself with the original pillars of Lego City, Lego Space, Lego Medieval Castle, and then Lego Pirates. So for it to go out like this was just a bit disappointing.
I couldn't agree. And I think this was a long drought from this year till 2009. And a lot of Lego Pirates fans, 2009 is a breath of fresh air, and we will get to that in that episode, but it feels like the classic stuff. It's right back at home, and it's a nice cozy feeling that I feel like this year and the year prior kind of lacked.
Yeah, for sure. Well, James, it's been a really nice run with you. I look forward to closing this out and hope everyone else enjoyed. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Blocks and Talks. And we also started a YouTube channel called Blocks and Talks, which we'll be uploading soon. All right, James. Well, see you next time, and see you guys.